We're back on Timeless Performers with a timeless performer artist who just started a few years ago, and that's Julius Danziger. And I know you have a funny story to tell me, right?
Right.
Okay, tell it to me.
I have a studio, as I mentioned to you, at Winter Street, which is a large building in Houston where there's approximately 120 artists.
Right.
And we do have regular shows where people come by and look at the studios and sometimes buy the art.
Right.
One evening a man walks into my studio and I have a piece hanging on my wall which is approximately 24 by 30 inches in size. And I thought it was a pretty piece, and he looks at it and walks away and comes back and looks at it. And after a few minutes I walk up to him and said, well, would you like that painting? And he said, didn't say very much. And then after a few minutes I said to him, well, are you interested in purchasing it or going any further? And he turned away from me and he said, no, that's too much of a likeness to my ex-wife, and I don't want to have any more
any more memories of her. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Is that the funniest one that you've ever dealt with?
Well, it's one.
Well, tell me what people say when they come in and they're getting ready to. Do you have people that are on the fence about buying?
Absolutely. In fact, you have many people. I'm sure 90% of the people walk in, walk around, say thank you, and walk out, and don't even want to buy this stuff. And then you can often see a person who wants to buy something because they walk by and look at it and say, well, I love it, and buy it. But the great majority of people have such varied tastes that they don't want to buy your stuff, and you don't take it personally. They walk in and out, and away they go.
And you know, that's the funny part, Julius, because I've represented so many artists over the years, and being an artist myself in some respects, okay, it's hard to part with. I don't know if you feel the same way, but when I was originally starting, it was hard for me, especially if I spent a lot of time on that project, to let go of it.
No, I see it differently. I feel that I've created something and I don't let anything get framed or anything hung if I don't like it. If I don't like it, I tear it up or throw it away. Nothing gets on the wall that I don't personally like.
Do you ever come to a point where you're not sure if you want to stop that painting?
Often.
And what is that, do you think, with artists?
I don't know.
Is it perfection?
It's something. It's an emotional thing with me. I have to love the thing that I've produced, and if I don't love it, then it can't be sold
or framed or whatever.
Or framed, and it cannot be shown.
Do you? Well, on my artwork, you know, and I actually physically make pieces that are not paintings, okay, anymore. I do actual physical things like, I'm now going to get into sculpture, but before that, I've done wreaths, I'm a florist, I've done all kinds of pieces that do decorative as well. And I teach things as well to children and others. And I'll stand back and I'll look at it for maybe 10, 20 minutes sometimes to make sure in my mind that I can take it and go sell it. Do you do the same thing?
Every piece that I do, I bring home and show it to my wife.
And she approves it?
No.
Okay.
Often she says that's no good, and it gets trashed because
really?
Yeah. So
but she doesn't like it.
She doesn't like it. It doesn't get framed, and it gets trashed. So not everything that's done gets sold, or gets framed, or in an attempt to sell it.
Do you do your own framing, or do you have somebody else do it?
The framing is done. It depends upon what it is. My wife, we've now reached a stage where we do our own framing of the smaller pieces. The bigger pieces are still framed professionally.
Well, I've worked with a lot of framers over the years in different countries that are actual artists in themselves, right, that actually do the painting of the frames. Right. And that's an art in itself to do that. And I probably have more money in framing for all the pieces I have.
You see, that's a problem. That's a problem that I found. Many artists think that their work is worth too much to sell. So they've pitched the price at a price that is too high for people to buy it. I don't do that. I am complimented by the fact that you want to buy my work. So I do not charge a lot of money for my work.
Now, if I wanted to buy this,
that would cost $100.
This piece would be 100. How much would this be?
175.
Oh my gosh.
Because to me, it's not the money.
It's worth it.
To me, it's the feeling that you want to pay $1 for my work. If you want to pay $1, means it must have some value. Now, other artists would say, well, I want 400 or 500 for that, and it hangs on their walls for years and months and months. I don't.
You're extremely affordable.
But I just do this for the love of the work.
For the love of the work,
That's
not
right.
for the money.
Not for the money.
It's the same way with me. I have to share this with you, Julius. I actually went to school overseas to do what I do. And this year, a few years ago, I used to sell a lot of my work. And then I started making it for my clients as gifts. And now the television network wants me to sell it. And it's hard doing that again, It really is.
Well, I want to tell you a funny, interesting story. People come into the studio and they look at stuff. And they turn to me and I turn to them and say, do you like it? And they say yes. And they say, well, I don't have the money. And I physically take it off the wall and hand it to them and say, you can take it and pay me when you want. And they say, well, do you want my name? I say no. And I might tell you that I've sold over 190 pieces in the last 2 years,
right.
And I've never, ever had one bad debt. People have always paid me. Many people pay there and then, but for example, if somebody walks into the studio and says, I love that piece, but I don't have the money, I physically take it off the wall and they say, well, when are you going to, I say, when are you going to pay me? And they say, and I say to them, well, you send me the money when you've got it. I don't use a square. I don't have any of that specific thing.
Love it.
I'm a simple,
You're so much like me, it's funny.
I'm a simple guy, and if you don't want to pay me, you can have it. I had a very funny experience about 2 years ago. A woman walked into my studio, and she looked at a piece on the wall, and she looked at the piece on the wall. And I was busy. It was during a big show, and she said, I want that piece. I said, sure, you can take it. And I told her the price, which was marginal, maybe $300. It was a large piece. And she came back to me an hour later and she said, well, let me think about it. And then I turned away, and when I turned back, she was gone. And that's been my regret. I didn't give it to her, because she should have had that piece for free. Because to me, it's more important for people to
admire it
and love it,
than
me to get the few.
Right, and I've worked with a lot of artists that feel a lot like you.
That's right.
And that's probably the reason why they call the organization, not the organization, but artists, starving artists.
Right.
Right, and it's amazing to me the joy that I feel personally when I finish a piece.
Right.
And it's like I lose myself in my artwork. Do you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And it's a joy that is hard to explain to people that don't do it, right? And the older that I become, the more I want to do in that artwork. I would love to go back into stained glass painting, because especially I did work that was Chinese, and they do very, very minute work, and it amazes me. When I was overseas, the artwork that I experienced everywhere.
Right. Another thing worthwhile doing, which I try and do, is give to charities, because firstly you get exposure.
That's right.
Which is important. It's worth it. And secondly, it's nice to participate in certain charities and give your stuff to them.
And that's what I did with Partners in Art Education, and I'll talk to that about it. But where can people get your artwork again? Because people want to know, because they love your artwork. I can see that.
You can contact me at jdcolors.com or jd-colors.com or through my cell phone.
Right. And do you have a Facebook account, Julius?
I'm no good at that.
No, you're not a social media guy, huh? No. But where can I find you if I wanted to find your gallery in Houston when I'm here?
I'm at Winter Street, which is on 2101 Winter Street. It's a large artist area, and I'm in studio number 4 at Winter Street.
Wow.
But you can get me at Julius Danziger. Just email me, or my website, If you put jdcolors.com on the internet, it comes up quickly.
Right. And on that note, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back on Timeless Performers with Julius Danziger, the artist.
Thank you.